to thank TAWC for letting me come out and setting some probes up with you guys and showing y'all the data we got. We set up 10 sites and I printed out, or didn't print them out, but I got 3 of them on this slideshow here and we'll go over them. First of all, I'll kind of explain to some of you guys that aren't familiar with what exactly our product is. What we have here are probes. We have 40-inch, 60-inch, and 48-inch probes, and we have a sensor every 4 inches that take readings, and we place the probe in the plant row. That in between, after you get a healthy stand-up, we'll come and put it between 2 good-looking crops. That way you get root. We not only read moisture, but also root zone and root activity, and I'll show you that for the data here in a minute. And what we have is a cable that runs through your communication tower and sends signal to cell phone towers that we bounce off, which updates our software. And you can go online and see live data whenever you get it on your computer and look at it. When you first sign on and log on, here's your home page. You'll have your fields. It'll show exactly where that probe is. You can click on it. It'll show you a little picture graph here. Your last irrigation, how deep it went, your root zone levels, as well as where you're at from your full point, percentage-wise on your profile. And then you can go into greater detail, which we have graphs to read what exactly the live data is getting sent to. So you click on the graph. This right here is our summary graph. It's a summary of your profile. And what this is a summary of every one of our sensors, our 4, 8, 12, 16, all the way down to the 40. And this shows you the average of what all those sensors are reading. When it spikes up, that's an irrigation or a rainfall. And you can see the stair stepping down. When it kind of levels off, that's the night. When it goes down, that's when the plant's taking the moisture, and that's the day. So you can almost go in there and count the exact days between each irrigation by doing the stair steps. And then we have, basic templates that we have. The green line that you kind of try to follow off of. We have corn templates, cotton templates, sorghum, peanuts. And what them are is just kind of how the crop takes the water throughout the year, depending on your soil type as well. And then also you can go into greater depth and click on this graph, which it's kind of fuzzy on the screen. But this shows exactly your 4, 8, 12, I don't know why, it's not showing all the colors very well on the projector, but you have your 4, 8, 12, and you can see exactly what every sensor is telling you. And when it spikes up, that tells you exactly what sensor picked up your moisture. So right here, this is just a basic one, but he was getting 8-inch irrigation on these last ones. And right here you can see the plant started diving deep. You can see the line started dropping where it was getting water loss, where the roots were taking the moisture, and you got down to 40 inches early. But also you can sign up to a deal where all your probes that you have out in your field, they'll send you an email, tell you the last time you irrigated, the rooting depth that those sensors are picking up, and also tell you how deep your last irrigation went, and that's a daily email. And then you can also just, when you receive those daily emails, this is a hyperlink, you click on it, it'll take you directly to the graphs. So here's Eddie Teeter's drip that we have that we've been out on the field day to day. We set this up right at the beginning of July out on that field. He's on 40-inch spacing with drip. I think his emitters, he said, were 20 inches apart. So what I did is I went and dug up, found the emitter, put the probe about around 8 to 10 inches from the emitter, so it's not right on the emitter, reading real close. And you can see we had that irrigation July 15th or 16th, 2 or 3 inches, raised it up. And you can see he didn't he let it dry down. Then right here, he started the drip back up. You can see where the little frequency wave looking deal, that's where he turned the drip up. And then he got another irrigation, went down. Here's irrigation yesterday, or not last night, but the night before. I printed this off last night. So I imagine it even went up more from last night's rain as well. So then you can click on the individual sensor graph and see what's going on underground at every level. You can see right here, you got that rain in the middle of July. Well, that rain went all the way down to that 48-inch sensor. And what you look for on these is the line before the rain compared to the line after the rain. You can see it went up and stayed up. Well, that means not only did he get moisture down there, but he banked that moisture. Where if you get the line before the irrigation, and you see the spike, and you see the line after the irrigation, if it goes directly same spot where it was before, then that means he leached the moisture. So not only did the moisture get down there, but it went up and it stayed up after the rain, so that's a good thing. And then you can see he went down, and the roots, even, I'd say his roots were getting down to about 40 inches or so, where that's starting to drop with those wavelengths. You can see where you turn the drip on. The 8 is the purple. You can compare the colors from over here. 8's purple, 12 inches green, and you can see the 8, 12, 16. Those three, kind of where his drip's 12 inches deep, and you can see where them actually started, when you turn the drip on, it started to wet the soil up. And the 20, it didn't really wet it up, but it, went from dropping to maintaining, and that's kind of the zone where the activity was going on. And you can see the sorghum's really pulling on that 8, 12, 16, and 20, where it's stair-stepping down. And then you can see the rain that he got, not last night, but not before, it went all the way down to 48 inches as well. So that's the drip data. I got some stuff. We also have one, we're on the same pivot with Glenn Share over there, with bubble versus spray, all in the same pivot, applying the same amount. You can see early on in the summary, the bubble was really he was building his profile up. Compared to the spray on the same irrigation, you see this irrigation, it really penetrated deeper and banked the moisture a lot more than this one right here. But the last irrigation, it's not near as different. I mean, it's maintaining from when we went up, but this one actually went down a little bit from the previous. But there's not a lot of difference now, but earlier on in the year, that bubble really was doing a lot more damage underground. And also, I brought up another one with Blake Davis on pivot with his sorghum. You can see, as I said, the irrigations or the rains or the spikes going up, and those are the time between where it's dropping and losing moisture. There's an irrigation or a rain that he got recently. You can see that mid-July rain on the 15 and 16, it got all the way down that 48 inches as well. Most of his root activity, water loss is going on between that 4 and 16. His last irrigation from would have been Tuesday. You can see it went down at 24 inches. It went just right over the probe right before I went over this. So you can see that 24-inch spiked up, but nothing after that went up. With this tool, you can use it to make some pretty good water decisions with that rainfall. Here's a little different scenario than some people. This is a guy with corn up near Vega. He was really dropping hard, and he got a 2-inch rain, and he used this to see, instead of shutting down, he used it as an opportunity to say, I need to use it to catch up. So he left his pivot on and was able to get his profile back up where he wanted it to be. We'll see at the end of the year if that paid off. I'm not sure yet. But he used it in a different term compared to all his neighbors that shut down for a couple of days. He left it on and tried to bank it. And then here's another guy where he went way above the blue line, and you can see his spacing between irrigations. He used it to watch to when it got about right there. He knew that when he turned it back on, he'd be able to jump it up to where he wanted it to be and get it back up to that full point. So he used it as a guideline to kind of decide when to turn that pivot back on. This is also a good tool for, making your final irrigations, see where your profile is at the end of the year, see if you got enough to hold on to make that last irrigation or not. This is a guy last year. He ran it all the way through to the end past September because he knew he was well below where he wanted to be. And so he watered it all the way to the end. This guy up here, he was way up tall, really got his profile wet, and so he was able to shut down a lot earlier before the end of September, or beginning of September, and watch it guideline down out. So because he knew he had enough subsoil moisture to get him through that end and save him final irrigation as well. This is kind of where we're going in the future, or right now actually. We started putting these in. We're putting them below ground, running the cable outside the field. The tower's going to be outside the field. We got nothing showing above the ground. That way you can leave the probe in all year long. On the other ones we're installing after you plant and removing right before you harvest. These you put in the ground, you can leave them in there, bury them 8 inches. So you won't have that 4-inch reading, but you'll start at 8 inches down. And they stay below. That way you can collect data all year long from your winter moisture as well. and see where your profile is at, you know, in January, February. And then you start your pre-watering, see where you were last year with your profile when you planted, and start pre-watering and get that profile back up to where you were last year. Use it as a guideline for that. And as well, if you get some winter moisture, and see how deep it penetrated and how much the profile went up from it. Here's a guy that had it last year during the winter. Here's the growing season when he had it. You can see the soil dried out. Here's an irrigation that he got in November. And then this is all the way till March. So he'll use this, or this is to March, so he'll have to start pre-watering to get it back up to where he wanted it to be as well. That's kind of the direction that we're going. And if you got any more questions, there's my information. I cover from Amarillo south, and we got some of you I know we have probes with TAWC that I met with. If you want to go over some of your data, I'd be more than happy to do that as well. So I guess that's all I got for you.
Questions? Tyson?
Tyson, if you leave the probe in the ground year round, you have to pull out, take batteries, or anything like that?
No. And he asked if you buy one of the permanent probes, if they ever have to pull it out or change batteries and that. If the battery happens or something, you pay for the probe as well as the service provided with the probe. So if anything ever falters with that, we come out and fix it on our cost when we notice it. But if you plow it up, then you're gonna have to probably comp the probe. But other than that, anything lightning or hail or anything like that, we'll come out and swap it for you. The only thing is, depending on your farm practices, if you go in there and plow or chisel, you know, you might have to raise up. Or if you're no-till or strip-till, works really good, being at 8 inches deep. But just gonna have to work around your farming practices for it. Just something. And also, the permanent one, it's a lot cheaper because it's going installed. We're not coming in, pulling it out, and reinstalling it. So it's half the cost. It's a lot cheaper than doing that. So.
You said that your line you were setting your transmitter outside the field.
Mm-hmm.
How long of a line can you put?
It's still the same. You know, with pivots, we put it between the second and third tower from the outside. It's still the same distance. So on drip, you know, you're not usually going in that deep anyways. So it's pretty much where we want it, I guess. Think about 100 feet or so.
Other questions, Tyson? Thank you, sir.
Thanks, guys.
Our next stop on our field tour, Bob.